welcome, Dr. Mohita. Thank you for being a part of this podcast with me today. And I'm super excited to be talking to you about a topic which is very great, very close to my heart and very important as well that we talk about it and discuss. So welcome thank you for once again for taking our time.
Thank you so much, Pratiksha, for inviting me for this podcast and giving me an opportunity to speak on such an important topic that you're going to discuss now. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Great. So let's get the ball rolling. So as our listeners and viewers know that we are today going to talk about cognition and what exactly is cognition, what is the role of cognition in child development, and why is such an important thing that all parents should be careful about. So Dr. Mohita, you've been working for so many years and you've built an entire organization, a program around cognitive development and cognition called Cognitome. So let's start, how does cognitive development actually, impact a child, or how does it play a crucial role in shaping the child's growth, learning abilities, and if you can talk about some key milestones in this process?
Yeah, sure, Pratiksha. First of all, this is a very important question because what has happened that people are really not aware about what exactly is cognition. They are definitely aware about the mental health, they are aware about the physical health, but they are not aware about the term cognition. Yes. Right? So it's a very important topic that on this platform, we are discussing it, and specifically about the children. Why? Because children, the growth and development of children is directly proportional to the development of cognition.
Right.
Whether you call it as their, mental health, their health related to their movement, or kinesthetic health, or physical health, whatever it is, but the keystone and the key to all the development and growth of the children is the cognitive abilities, or the cognition we call it.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very important question. So let us first understand the meaning of cognition, and then we will go to what is cognitive development in children in very simple terms, in a layman language.
Right.
Okay. So cognition is nothing, in a very simple term, I'm explaining it to you, that it is nothing but the process of thinking.
Yes.
The cognition is made up of two words, cognoscere. Okay. So cognoscere means to know, to think, to know everything. And my Cognitome program is basically based on the concept of neuroplasticity, which means that the new neural connections can be developed throughout the life as the brain grows and develops. And it starts since the birth, right? And the peak goes until the adolescence. But it doesn't stop there. It keeps on going, though with age, the neuroplasticity ability of neuroplastic changes decreases. So cognition is nothing but the process of thinking, which encompasses abilities such as perception, knowledge, problem solving, judgment, memory, and linguistic abilities like development of speech and language as well.
Right.
So cognitive development in children simply refers to the long-term changes. Okay. Like growth and maturation of their mental processes or cognitive processes, including thinking, problem solving, memory, language, and perception. So definitely it plays a very crucial role in shaping their overall growth and learning abilities, as it forms the foundation, for acquiring new knowledge, understanding language, vocabulary, development of a speech, understanding new skills, learning new skills, and understanding the whole world around them, along with the linguistic proficiencies.
Right. Wonderful.
So now coming to the next part of your question, what are the key aspects, as you have asked, of the cognitive development and the associated milestones?
Yes.
So one of the most widely known perspectives about cognitive development is the cognitive stage theory. That was formulated by a Swiss psychologist, Jean Piaget, and Piaget created and studied on account of how children and youth gradually became able to think logically and scientifically. So after observing children very closely, he proposed that the cognition developed through different stages since birth to the end of the adolescence. By stages, he meant here is the sequence of a proper sequence of thinking patterns.
Right.
So Piaget proposed four major stages of cognitive development and called them the sense first, the sensory motor intelligence, and the pre-operational thinking, the concrete operational thinking, and the formal operational thinking. So each stage here is correlated with an approximate age of the childhood. For example, let's begin with the first stage, the sensory motor stage or the sensory motor intelligence. It starts from birth until 2 years of age. So here the key development in this stage includes the development of the basic motor skills and learning processes to coordinate, the sensory experiences with motor actions in the infants, among the infants.
Right.
The milestone for this particular stage is the object, the development of the object permanence, meaning, in simple term, meaning understanding that the objects continue to exist even if they're out of your sight.
Right.
Got it? Got it. So apart from this object permanence, there are other milestones of the stage, like development of other aspects like basic reflexes and basic language skills, such as understanding the meaning of words. Like, for example, if we are talking about shoes, so the infant understands shoe,
Yes.
the meaning of the. Got
Right.
it. The next comes the pre-operational stage, which lasts from 2 to 7 years of age. Got it?
Right.
So the key development of this stage the key development in this stage are basically in this stage children start using symbols like language, using images and words to represent objects and their ideas or to communicate their ideas to others basically. And however, thinking is still primarily egocentric and it completely lacks logical reasoning here in this stage. Got
Right.
it? Not completely, I would rather say mostly it lacks logical reasoning. From 2 to 5 years of age, after 5 years of age, they started thinking logically as well.
Yes.
So the milestones of this particular stage is like development of imagination, creativity, imagination, language acquisition, and understanding the basic concepts like size, color, shape, and quantity.
Right.
So next stage comes the third stage, as per the Piaget, is the concrete operational stage, and it occurs during the years. It occurs what are the age like 7 to 11 years of age.
Okay.
So the key developments of this particular stage that occurs in this particular stage are like children begin to think more logically, and they develop a complete understanding of conservation of things. Like for example, and also they understand that the quantity remains the same despite changes in appearance, and they also become capable of problem solving to an extent. Right? So logical reasoning develops, problem solving. So these are the major, milestones here in this particular stage. Improve logical thinking, the ability to understand cause and effect, the relationship between the objects, and the cause and effect, and basic mathematical skills as well. So last comes the formal operational stage, which is from 11 years and beyond.
Okay.
Right? So the key development of this stage is basically development of abstract thinking and hypothetical reasoning.
Okay.
Okay. So this becomes more advanced, and the adolescents can think about the possibilities, the hypothesis, and the abstract concepts. So the milestone, the main milestone for this, 11 years and older, like development of abstract thinking, increased problem-solving abilities, in fact, the complex problem-solving abilities as well, and the ability to think about one's own thinking, which we refer to as metacognition.
Yes.
What is? So the development of metacognition, development of abstract thinking, and increased problem solving abilities. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, I think it was quite a rigorous and quite a lot of useful information in that answer. So breaking it down, so all children they grow and their cognitive milestones also they achieve, and as Dr. Mohita explained that it happens in 4 different stages which are linked with the child's chronological age. And Piaget's theories and stages have been highlighted very beautifully by you. So, as speech language therapists, when we are assessing children for their development and their language communication milestones. We also take a detailed case history of their motor milestones. And I think somewhere in your answer you mentioned that when an infant or in the first stage of cognitive development, it's the motor milestones that are directly linked with cognition, and the development of the brain and the neuroplasticity comes into play. So we also feel that if a child is not hitting the motor milestones on time, then it is a clear reflection of whether or not the child is cognitively developing as per his.
Yeah,
So
age, yes.
that if the child has had neck control on the specified milestone age, and has started sitting or walking or running at the appropriate time, which all parents know, the pediatrician tells them. If the child has not hit the motor milestones on time, then it gives us a sort of a red flag to look further deeper into the cognitive development as well. Very interesting. So we are a country where we thrive on a lot of advice from our friends and our culture in the community and our parents. So there are a lot of tales and stories that we have heard, and there are a lot of myths, I feel, that are prevailing in our society about child development and about cognitive development. So someone says, okay, give your child brahmi to eat and improve his brain and memory. I'm sure all of us have heard, eat badam, they'll say.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and Brahmi, of course, Bacopa. Yeah.
So can you, tell us what are some common myths and misconceptions around cognitive development, brain development, and what are, things that we should be mindful about? What should parents be mindful about?
Yeah. Sure. Well, apart from the cultural advices, you know, uh, where we belong to, apart from that, that eating this and that will help in boosting your brain or memory power or increases your memory and all those stuff. That's a different aspect entirely, and it's not only about the cultural thing. It's about nowadays, mind brain booster supplements have become a fad by the pharmaceutical companies as well. So I would not like to comment upon that because that's very scientific thing, and maybe that has come out of the years of research.
Yes.
But apart from that, I will definitely discuss about the general myth that are linked with the cognition and the cognitive development among the children. So, well, there are several common misconceptions or myths about child development and the cognition, and that can hinder a proper understanding. So, dispelling this myth is really essential and crucial for all of us to foster a more accurate understanding of the children's cognitive development. The most common misconceptions or myth that I have come across among the parents about the children is like the intelligence is fixed and it cannot be changed.
Uh-huh. Right.
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 Right. But the reality is that intelligence is not fixed, and rather it's a dynamic process or a dynamic trait that can be influenced by various factors, including your genetics, your environment, and your experiences. And I would rather suggest to the parents that encouraging a growth mindset that can definitely help your children believe in their capacity to learn and develop intelligence more and more, right? The second myth that I have really come across is like children learn best when they're quiet and sitting still.
Hmm.
Okay. So, the exam is going on. So, just close everything and just focus on, I cannot know. But apart from exam is something different that we definitely need some focus and attention. But in reality, children often learn through the active exploration and the hands-on experience or the practical or the pragmatic experience than sitting quiet and still.
Hmm.
The movement, the pretend play, these are crucial for the cognitive development
Hmm.
along with the motor development.
Hmm.
And as the children, they engage into multiple senses and promote better retention of information. And restricting movement may definitely hinder learning. Now, the next myth is that the academic achievement is the sole indicator of intelligence. Okay. But no, it's not the thing. Reality is that the intelligence is multifaceted and goes beyond academic success. So, which is very well explained by the theory of multiple intelligence by Howard Gardner, who was a developmental psychologist from Harvard University. And this theory, as we all are aware as well, this theory states that there are 8 types of intelligences, and they're differentiated into the different modalities like visuospatial, verbal, linguistic, musical, rhythmic, logical, mathematical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic, and kinesthetic. Bodily and kinesthetic intelligence. So, in contrast to other notions of learning capabilities, for example, the concept of a single IQ or intelligent quotient, the idea behind the theory of multiple intelligence is that the people learn in a variety of different ways. They can be, maybe somebody is not academically excelling, but he can excel in some different stream or different field, like in creativity, creative intelligence, in music, in art. So it's not just the academic success. So therefore, emotional intelligence, creativity, problem solving skills, strategic planning, social competence are equally important aspects of the cognitive development. Recognizing and valuing diverse forms of intelligence is definitely essential. Now, the next myth that I come across among the parents is like that all children develop at the same rate and in the same way. Okay. So the reality is that the children develop at different rates, and there is a wide range of normal variation. Comparing children based on just a rigid timeline can lead to an unrealistic expectation and unnecessary concerns. So it is important to recognize and appreciate individual differences. Next myth that I come across is, cognitive development is solely determined by the genetics. Like it's in his genes. That's why his parents are doctors, so he's going to be a doctor. His parent is a athlete, so he's going to be an athlete. Something like that. So while genetics definitely does play a role in it, but environmental factors, early experiences, early childhood experiences, and interactions with the caregivers, whether they're parents or your caregivers or your peers, significantly influence the cognitive development as well. So providing a stimulating and a supportive environment is very much crucial for the optimal cognitive growth. Now, next myth is that IQ tests measure the child's true intelligence comprehensively. Okay.
That is a very common one, especially in Indian parents. I see, you get an IQ test done if your child is, this and that. And yes, I would like to know your
And
thoughts.
for the cognitive abilities, we have that 504 test as well. For the differently abled or people with the disabilities. So in reality, IQ test provides a limited snapshot of the cognitive abilities in reality, honestly.
Right.
And may not capture the full range of a child's strength and weaknesses associated with it. Maybe, for example, one child is might be is good in mathematics, right? But at the same time, he is good in reasoning, strategic planning as well, problem solving as well, or in some kind of a sports, or maybe he is creative as well. So there comes the concept of the lateralization of functions of the brain, or the localization of functions. Like we have 2 hemispheres, the left and right? So the parents should be, what I want to advise here to the parents, that these kind of tests should be used as one tool among many to just assess the cognitive development. But parents should not rely solely on this, that if the IQ score is this much, if it's low, then my kid is dumb, or he is not going to compete or succeed academically. So this is not the case, first of all. Now, next myth that I come across is like the cognitive development is complete by a certain age. As I discussed the Piaget theory, of course, there are the milestones, and there are the milestones for certain age factor. That's fine, but cognitive development is a lifelong process. Those milestones are there when the child is growing and developing until certain age, but it's a lifelong process based on as I discussed, based on the concept of neural plasticity or neuroplasticity or the synaptic plasticity. Brain keeps on making new connections. The neuron keeps on making new connections, So the repeated reinforcement, reinforcing the task or the exercises that we need to foster in the children, create the new neural connection, breaking the old pattern of thinking or the old connections. So cognitive development is a lifelong process. While there are critical periods for certain skills, like as I mentioned, learning and adaptation, but the learning and adaptation that continue throughout the life. So this is best explained by the neuroplastic nature of the brain, as I mentioned. And basically, I just wanted to define what is neuroplasticity. It's just the concept where which allow forming new neural networks or synapses, new connections in the brain to acquire or learn new skills throughout the life, though it decreases with age, for sure, right? So next myth is like early academic rigor is the key to future success.
That's very common. I think all parents, they are looking at these flashcards. That I have seen so many companies coming out with flashcards for making your child into a genius. Some other
Hmm.
programs that
Yeah.
have come up. So yes, please, we would like to know about all this.
See, early childhood should emphasize play and social interaction and exploration rather than the bookish knowledge. Rather than just focusing on writing, formation of words, or bookish knowledge or something like that. No, early childhood should really emphasize play, social interaction, and the exploration. As I also mentioned earlier, that the pragmatic experiences of the child helps to grow child much better
Absolutely.
and develop the cognitive skills much better. So pushing for academic rigor too early may lead to the burnout among the children, right? And hinder the development of the crucial foundation skills like motor skills are equally important,
Yes, yes.
right?
Absolutely.
So, in a nutshell, what I would like to tell here is like to foster a better understanding, it is really important for the parents, educators, society, caregivers as a whole to stay informed about the current research in the child development. Just know, not abide by the orthodox cultural bindings,
Yes.
rather than stay informed about the current research in the development of not only the cognitive development but overall development of the child, and emphasizing the individuality of each child, promoting a supportive and enriching environment, and encouraging a holistic view of intelligence, like I mentioned, multiple intelligence, are essential in dispelling these myths and fostering optimal cognitive development among the children.
Fantastic. I think that was very, very insightful. And I'm sure many of our listeners, our viewers, have been, the target of such products and services where, and the belief by so many people around us, especially, when you talk about the Montessori method and the other methods when children are growing up, it's so important to focus on overall development, giving child much needed attention and time, and focusing on various aspects of intelligence, not just bookish and academic knowledge. So, recently I came across, an organization where they are selling a program, I think some flashcards or something, to turn your child into a genius. And I think it was also aired on Shark Tank India. And I kept on seeing their ads and everything. So, Dr. Mohita, I mean, I know you mentioned that, I'm sure that's uh, sort of a byproduct of a lot of research that has gone into it. But have you tried it with any of your clients, such products, or do you feel that early, what shall I say, exposure of such products, such flashcards and things like that, it makes a difference in the brain and the cognitive development of children?
See, honestly, it varies what a client is needing it, what is required for the client. For example, there are some people who are really low in IQ, but they cannot memorize,
Yes.
right? It's not among the children only, it's among even the teenagers and, the young ones also.
Right.
So, youngsters also. So, if they're not able to memorize, if they're not able to pay attention to something, then we have to use these kind of things.
Hmm.
But it shouldn't be linked with the intelligence. What I'm trying to say here is that it shouldn't be linked with the intelligence, that it is going to increase your intelligence.
Yes.
It might increase, it might improve your capability or abilities to memorize things,
Right.
or to pay attention, or to focus attention. But do not quote unquote make it like that this is the these I mean, if he's able to memorize more and getting more marks due to the memorization, he's intelligent. No.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Spot on. Join us next week at the One Special Place podcast as we continue our amazing conversation with Dr. Mohita Shrivastava on cognitive development in children.